Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
Today, my guest is someone that I think a lot of people will connect with because he's been where a lot of people have been. And the one thing this guy's not afraid of is telling you about mistakes he's made as well as the successes he's had. And I think that's what makes him a true influencer with the people that he works with. Today, our guest is Brant Phillips. He's a best-selling author, a corporate escapee, comes from a corporate background. He's a real estate investor, owner of and founder of a construction company, remodeling company. But really what I want to talk to him about is the way that he helps not just real estate investors, but people that are in that position, that point in their lives where they may have a job that they love. They may not want to escape necessarily the rat race. Maybe they enjoy what they do, but maybe they do want to escape. But really what it is, they want an alternative in investing, and they see, we see it every day on infomercials and TV and seminars, the opportunities to invest in real estate. And it can be a fairly hazardous course to navigate. And that is what I feel really makes him an influencer, is his ability and willingness, to go out there and help folks navigate the terrain when it comes to deciding on how to use real estate as an alternative investment. To grow their retirement, to build a better life for themselves and their family. Brant Phillips, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. So here's what I want to know. So you actually founded a construction company, remodeling company back in, was it 2008, 2009?
2009 was our first year.
2009. This was right on the cusp of the collapse of the mortgage industry. One of the worst times in the past, probably 10 years or 20 years, even potentially 30 years in the real estate industry, real estate market. And you had the bright idea to start a remodeling company.
Yeah, I got to raise a lot of eyebrows whenever I had that idea. And, in hindsight, looking back, I would like to say that I planned it all this way. But kind of what happened was, I got so committed to pursuing my, entrepreneurial dreams and lifestyle dreams that I kind of just, I put together an informal business plan and just made a decision, no matter what happens, I'm going to give this a shot. And, as you mentioned, my focus on construction is in real estate investments and in doing construction services for real estate investors and investment properties. So kind of the genius thing that happened that I didn't necessarily plan that way was, despite the collapse, there were a lot of construction companies going under at the time, and there was not a construction company that specialized in just that, helping real estate investors, at least not in our market, in the Houston, Texas market. So what ended up happening that was really, really cool was that a lot of foreclosures started coming onto the market, and a lot of real estate investors started buying properties at, really discounted rates, and we kind of filled that void in providing the renovation services on those investment properties. So in hindsight, it worked out. I think we completed close to 80 or 90 renovations our first year in business, and we had a projection to do like possibly 30 to 40. So, it was a great year. It worked a lot, I can tell you that much. But yeah, in hindsight, everything worked out really, really well. I just wish I could say that I planned it to be that way. I just can't take credit for that, but everything worked out well.
Well, I got to say that I think that's what I love about your transparency is that, you don't claim to have this clever plan that 80 houses, 80 remodeling jobs, construction jobs, when construction companies were fighting and starving for work, you managed to fill a niche by accident or not that was actually almost a little cottage industry that came about because of the collapse of the mortgage industry, because of the collapse of the real estate market. And the way that you dove into this, like you said, it's nothing unique for people jumping into business with blind enthusiasm of I'm going to do this, kind of ignoring a lot of the signs that maybe this isn't really a good idea, but you made it work. So obviously, going through that time and being an investor yourself, you had some insight that helped you resonate and connect with real estate investors that were taking advantage of the opportunities that were coming up, and the fact that you could, I guess, what would you say, you could speak their lingo as far as when it comes to remodeling. What are some of the things that you had insights to that made you particularly attractive to investors versus all the remodelers out there struggling and starving?
Well, I think that's one of the most enjoyable parts of what I do, because whenever I was in corporate America, I was buying 10 plus houses every year, pretty close to a house a month while I was working my full-time corporate job, and I worked long hours at that job. And I can tell you that I lived through every contractor horror story and headache that we've all heard and we've all seen, and many of us have experienced some of those. I've experienced all of them, and it was very contrary to what I had read in a lot of books and even learned through some coaching clubs. Was that the contractors really had the capacity to make or break your deals. And meaning if they turned in poor quality, or if they mismanaged a job, or they picked the wrong colors or things like that. And what I saw was that a lot of real estate investors were relying on contractors for a good portion of the profitability on their job, and a lot of the aesthetics on the job, the paint colors, floor colors, all that type of things. So I always viewed myself, whenever I got into the construction business, that I was a real estate investor first, and that was how I was making a majority of my income and what my real, I guess, business passion were, if you will. And so that's what I kind of took a lot of enjoyment from, and still do, is helping, especially newbie real estate investors, or people who are just busy with the job and they're not up to date on market trends and things like that, providing that expertise at the same time, providing construction services with a higher level of trust and systemized process to get through the rehab, where some of our competitors may take 60, 90 days and will turn out that same finished product in about 30 days. And just, that those types of things are what we provide. And, I routinely meet with designers now and decorators and things like that, just so we stay up to date on the changing trends, and they're always changing in terms of selection. So that's the kind of insight that we provide, as well as, we can help investors to game plan financing decisions and strategies, and market analysis on when to rent, when to sell, all those types of decisions that other contractors just can't provide, because that's not what they do.
Well, one of the things, and you made an important point, is that you seem to imply that some of the infomercials and real estate seminars make it sound easier than it really is. Is that true? Of course, I'm being facetious, but we've all seen that. You see the guy on TV that look how stupid I am, and I'm successful. It is more difficult. All right, can we just establish that? Real estate,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love the shows. I'm not gonna lie, I love the shows, and I've shot some. They call them sizzles on the, to be basically considered for some of those shows. And I love the shows, once again, but I won't mention any names. But, speaking to some of these directors and these filmers, the goal isn't always to paint the picture of the most realistic flip or the most realistic rehab that goes on,
You don't say.
Believe it or not. There's smidgen of truth to some of the shows, but it's not the full truth.
Well, and I think that's the important point is that it's not as easy as they make it sound, that it's obviously real estate is an aggravation, a profitable aggravation, but aggravation nonetheless. But what I think, and here's kind of the role I think about when I think about what you do, is when you're looking at financial advisors, right? You're looking at people that help you with your money management and things like that. There's generally two categories. There's the people that work for the financial institutions that say, we're going to help you with your financial planning. And then they make their money by selling you their stocks and mutual funds, which to me, there's a conflict there. Right.
Yep.
And then there's the financial planners that say, I have no affiliations with any of these people. I'm going to, for a fee, help you make the best decision for your circumstances. And to me, that's a far more valuable financial planner to have. And so I think one of the things that is really attractive about what you do is that you don't sell houses necessarily. You're not, and even in construction, I think one of the unique values they have, even though you do remodeling, I've seen, and not just on one occasion, but number of occasions that when people come to you for remodeling or estimates on houses that they're considering to buy for investments, where some construction folks might, take every opportunity they have to get the job, you've actually convinced people that, you know what, you should keep your money and not buy this house because based on my analysis, it's not going to be a good deal for you. Or people that have even purchased houses and say, I want to completely redo this and I want it done this way, that you've come back and said, you know what, you're going to be much better off. You get a much better return on your investment by not doing this, even though it cuts into your bottom line and you're telling them, don't buy this much carpet from me. Don't buy this much paint from me. But ultimately what you're doing is you're giving them a much higher expectation to be successful with that real estate investment. And I think that's probably been one of the reasons for your growth and the referrals, and the reason that people do business with you is because you're not out there trying to make the sale at all cost. How did you come across that? What is it that drove you to tell that first person, no, this probably isn't going to be the best thing for you to do, even though it cost you business?
Well, so that's one of the ways that we've built a really, really loyal customer base. And so I think there's a couple things. One, there's just, there's the integrity. It's within all of us. And that's the first thing that I'm motivated by, that my team is motivated by, is just to be honest and have integrity in all of our relationships. On the business side of things, though, I can tell you that I've been there and done that. I've lost money on deals. And I've experienced a lot of those bad decisions. And, I've had, deals that went wrong, and that does happen. And I've seen the other side where, we've made a lot of money on deals, rental properties and flips. I've seen both sides of that. So with our customer base, we know that if we don't provide honest input and an investor moves forward on a deal or makes some bad decisions and ends up taking a loss or just not being very profitable, we're not going to have an opportunity possibly to work with them again, either based off bad recommendations on our staff or just being silent on a recommendation where we had information on. Either that or that investor may no longer be in the business. So that's one thing that we've done a lot, and we get a lot of deer in the headlight looks with especially newbie investors. We're helping them out. We're coming to do an estimate for a job, and we're telling them absolutely that it's not a good deal, or that the house may need too many repairs, therefore, which makes it not a good deal. And it's so that's kind of the reason why. And our business is really built on repeat customers, because the average contractor remodeling company, when they do a remodel for their average customer, their typical customer, it's a one-time service for that customer, most likely, because people don't renovate their personal homes quite often. But we've got customers that we've done 20 plus remodels in a single year for. So we're built on repeat business, and the only way to really establish good relationships is to help them truly be successful in the real estate investments. And I can't tell you how many times, like literally hundreds and probably thousands of times, that we've told people either to walk away from deals, or we just talk them down on, they may want to add some things to the project, something that they saw on HGTV, but it just doesn't make sense in that market. So we'll try to analyze, what is the customer's, desired outcome, but what's really, what in that target market where that house is located, kind of where's the sweet spot? What are the minimum things that we do? What are the things that we call it must, should, and wow, like the things that you must do. There's some things that you probably should, but you could have some leniency on that, whether you do or you don't. And then we throw in a couple wow factors to the project. And so we kind of help them make those decisions through a business perspective on what's going to bring them the best return on their investment.
Yeah, one thing that I know we've talked about is, clearly we see how you can help people avoid bad deals, avoid making mistakes that can be very, very costly, and even, life-changing in their finances. But on the other side of the coin, you've come across things that people think it's a bad deal because of, what I call 25-cent problems, where they've gone in, they've watched the shows on TV, and they walk in a house and decide that they don't want to buy that house because it has a hole in the sheetrock. And that's a 25-cent problem, but they think it's major. That, how many people do you come across that you actually can help them navigate and say, you know what, that's not nearly as bad as you're thinking, and this is actually a really good deal, and they've ended up getting, home runs off of things that they initially may have passed on because they weren't educated in what the true problem was?
Yeah, so that happens quite a bit too. People just either through just fear or really lack of knowledge or experience, they'll make they'll make a small situation so much bigger. And really, unfortunately, I see a lot of people walk away from deals that end up, they could have made really nice sized profits. And our companies actually bought quite a few of those deals where we advised the customer, the client, this is a really good deal. We ran all the numbers, plugged everything in. It makes sense. But, there's some obstacle in their mind that they can't get over to move forward on that deal. And recently we had a customer who had already purchased a home, got into the rehab. They had unfortunately hired another contractor, and things went bad. Things went sideways, and the contractor had run off with some money, left them unfinished on the project. And this investor wanted to ditch the project, take a loss, because they were just so in a state of shock at that point in time, and they were afraid, and just really, she wasn't thinking straight at that point in time, and but was determined to walk away from the deal. So we came in, looked at her budget, looked at her numbers, assessed the renovation where it was at that point in progress, and we're able to come in, advise her on that deal. She actually, in that point in time, with the contractor, what we recommended to her was to renegotiate, recontact her contractor first to work things out, communicate, and go over, and at first seek to work things out with that original contractor rather than final leanings going through that process. And she was able to do that. There was some misunderstanding, communication on both sides, worked it out with them, got the house listed, and walked away with a really nice profit. And so sometimes that's our role as well, just, taking another perspective, looking at it through a business perspective, and kind of talking them off the cliff, so to speak. And that was a great example where we weren't even looking to do the construction work on a project. We just wanted to analyze it and see what needed to be done. And she, to her credit, took those steps and walked away with a nice profit.
Well, I think that's right. There's a perfect example. It's a spotlight on the fact that you're an advisor. You have this advisor capacity similar to the financial advisor that I talked about. And rather than making decisions or, guiding a customer that's going to be the most profitable for you, you go for what's the best outcome for this customer's success. Now, there's a lot of people that watch the shows the reality shows, and they see that, and they think that real estate investing means walking through dirty, nasty houses, swinging sledgehammers, knocking down walls, and that they have to get involved with the actual construction of this. How many of your clients are walking through the houses with you, knocking out walls with sledgehammers and carrying paintbrushes?
That I get that a lot as well. And I've got that a couple of times this week where people told me, they've always wanted to flip a house. They've always wanted to get into real estate investing, but they didn't know how, to do construction. They didn't know how to paint, or they didn't know how to put down tile. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is that, we personally as a company won't take on a project if that homeowner or that investor is going to be affiliated with doing some of the renovation aspects of the job, because I've learned that the hard way too. My first couple projects, I wanted to have a hand in it because I thought that's what I needed to do. You see that on those shows, and it didn't take me very long to realize, one, that I wasn't very good at actually doing many of the jobs that are required to get a job done, and I was slowing down the project. I was very clearly costing myself time and money, time on the renovation, and as well as money on the renovation, where, I'd set a project back 20 or 30 days, and you add up, mortgage payments and interest and taxes, and just not being able to put your house on the market, it adds up really quickly. So that's another big one where people say, well, I have a full-time job. I don't have time to do this or do that. And that's one of our, that's why we're in the marketplace. And that's the void that we feel, is that we come in and fill that void where you don't need to do anything. We actually have a lot of clients who don't live in the state. We've worked with out of country investors. They're investing from other countries, or they travel a lot. And so we use a lot of, cloud-based management software and pictures and videos and things like that, where those are in my book, are the I guess, wisest investors, where, if you look at the shows and we're talking about how is it really, like that, it's not. It is for some who want to choose the hard way, so to speak. And then we've got other investors who come in and like, this is the deal I have. I want you to do everything and do what you do. And they come back at the end of the project. They might check in once or twice, and then they're getting it ready to list or sell. And for them, it's actually much easier than the shows are. They leave it to our company and our project managers to deal with kind of the headaches of kind of the nuts and bolts of the construction side. And they focus on finding more deals or raising money and just working on their business rather than in their business.
It sounds like they just stay out of their own way is probably the most profitable thing for them to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's clearly I think, what you do is changing the way that people think about investing in real estate. You wipe out those obstacles of one, how much money they need to do this, how much time they need to be involved, and how much knowledge about construction that they need to have. And I think that's where the success is that you give people a tremendous sense of confidence. And it's definitely earned confidence because you have such a track record of people, that want to work with you, not because, you have the cheapest paint or you have the cheapest carpet or any of that stuff. They want to work with you because of the result that they see that you can provide, of the result of selling their house faster, the result of leasing their house quicker, which is far more profitable than finding that one person that'll, knock 25 cents a yard off of carpet. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the big, the helping people see through that and navigate through not only, what's good deals and bad deals, but also some of the what I think, to your credit, the most profitable things that you've ever done for your clients is tell them, this is not something you should do. And I think that's what really makes you an influencer, for sure in my book. And what I like to find out is what influences the influencer. What is it that influences you, inspires you to drive you to do what you do and finds its way into, your work, your business, that then your clients, your clients really benefit from.
So, I'm like a lot of entrepreneurs, and I guess my original calling was just that I was working too much and not spending time with my family, and I was seeing just running that rat race, that I was not living a great life physically, with my family, health wise, and certainly not financially. And so that's just been my biggest motivation, is trying to create, well-balanced life where I can do something that I'm passionate about and have the time to spend with my family and exercise every day and just do the things that I love. That's been my biggest passion, not so much to, make $1 million a year and just pursue the money side of things, although that is a big motivator for me, that everyone has that drive to have security and to have good investments and have a retirement plan. And so that there's definitely a need that what I do is filled by what I do there, but also just to have just a well-rounded, well-balanced life is what I'm looking for.
Well, Brant, what is it, people listening to this, clearly they see opportunities, and especially people that have been considering, they've watched the shows, they've watched the infomercials, they've been to the seminar perhaps, and had hesitations, had doubts about that. And I think they probably find that you may be a person that can fill the void for that. How can they find out more?
The best way is to go to my website, which is brantphillips.com, and they can get quite a bit of information there. And also, if it's something they're not sure about or they're kind of thinking about right now, there's a link on that website if they'd like to request a free strategy session with me. Do a lot of phone calls just to kind of see where people are at, talk to them about some of their fears, or see if some of their aspirations are, in line with what is reasonable starting out, and just kind of help them out on that strategy session. So that's at brantphillips.com.
All right. Perfect. Brant, I want to thank you for being on Influencers Radio. You really are an influencer, and I know that you have and will continue to inspire folks with what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack. I really enjoyed it.
All right, folks, there you have it, brantphillips.com. Check it out. And, a lot of lessons in this interview for sure, just in the way Brant even built his business with getting very, very specialized and working with a group of folks like real estate investors. So a lot of lessons that you may miss. This is one definitely to listen to more than once. So until next time on Influencers Radio, this is Jack Mize. Remember, you are the only game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.